This is my 4310 final project for new media. I chose to do a persistent restaurant rating and review application, and I made mine persistent using Apple's Core Data Framework, which manages model layer entities without the use of an outside database. So let's go ahead and I'll demo the app first before I get into the details. These are the current ratings and reviews I have. So let's add another one. And we'll add clocked burgers, best burger in. And I'll give it 5 stars and I add this rating. So clocked will now show up in my rating and review table view. I can click on this cell and it will populate this view based on the input that was provided. 5 stars, best burger in Athens. So core data allows this new object to be persistent. So if I come and I exit out of the app, if it will let me, and I exit out of the app and I return, this new data, instead of repopulating back to what it was before I added clocked, like a non-persistent application would do, clocked is still there. So just like adding, you can delete, and so let's delete clocked, and we'll exit out of the app and return, and clocked is now gone. So that is my persistent rating and review app. So let's go and see how it works. So core data you actually deal with here in Xcode. You can add an entity and the attributes for the entity. So I have one entity with 4 attributes: name, rating, review, and type, which is what we saw in the application. So in my core data.swift file, you can name this anything. I named mine core data. You set up a request, which is actually where you fetch the core data objects. And you initialize all of the attributes here. So inserting into core data, we will come over to viewcontroller.swift, which is the add rating page that we saw in the app. So this is actually inserting a new core data object. You have a new entry, which is an entity description, and a new object for that entity. And you just set values for each attribute key based on the user input. And then you actually have to save the context, which is just a lot of overhead, and to make sure that you save the core data before you try and repopulate it. Deleting core data is a little bit harder. You can only delete, it's easier to delete all of the core data than it is one specific object. Like SQL, you use, this is similar to a SQL query where you would use name, where name equals whatever. My predicate here is that I use delete the core data object where name equals result data at indexpath.row. And result data up here at the top is just an array of core data entities that was added or appended together based on table view rows. So that's basically all on core data. Other than that, the project just consists of a table view, navigation controller, and then 2 separate views and segues between them. And that is my persistent restaurant rating and review application.